As I was working on this workshop, it brought me back to my childhood when I was a competitive gymnast. And to be a competitive gymnast, you had to compete for events. Is everybody familiar with gymnastics? Have you seen it? Okay, in girls' gymnastics, you compete for events. Vault, bars, beam, and floor. And as a competitive gymnast, you have to compete all 4 events. You can't just say, well, I don't like vaulting, so I'm just going to do the balance beam. It's not how it works. You've got to compete all 4 events if you're a competitive gymnast. And one of the things that I remember, I loved gymnastics. I was passionate about it. To me, it was like a drug. It was like eating food. It was like breathing air. I couldn't get enough of it. I absolutely couldn't get enough of it. What I hated about gymnastics was the competition. I hated competing. It was nerve-wracking. I used to get so, I can't tell you how many times I needed to run to the bathroom before I was going to get on an event. Because I was just so nervous, because it was a do or die situation. That's the way I looked at it, okay? Because you could be great in the gym. In the gym, there was really no pressure. You could be learning new things, you're doing your routines over and over and over, and you're practicing, and you're doing really great. And none of that really matters until you get to the competition, because ultimately then you have 4 routines to do, you get a score on those 4 routines, and that's it. So if you're fantastic in the gym, and you blow it in the competition, they don't go back and say, well, let me go see how she does at practice. Didn't matter. Okay? So one of the things that we had to work on as gymnasts was being able to think about being in the gym when we were actually in a competition, so we didn't get all messed up. Okay? And it was very, very nerve-wracking. So as I was competing, one of my most profound experiences is one that I'm going to share with you right now. I was probably between the ages of 9 and 11 years old. And I was in a competition in Staten Island, New York, and I was on vaulting. Now, like any other sport or any other household or any other business or any other task or activity we're going to do, there are always parameters. There are rules of play, right? There are guidelines to follow. Because that's what sets the tone so that everybody knows what to do. And in girls' gymnastics, like I said, you get 1 shot to do your routine, except for on vaulting. Vaulting, you actually got 2 chances in girls' gymnastics. And the better of the 2 chances counted. So the scores weren't average at smaller competitions. You got the better of the 2. So if I did a really good vault the first time and I fell on the second one, I'd take the first vault if that had the higher score. Okay? Now here are the rules. When you're getting ready to do a vault, the judge and your coach are both down by the horse. The gymnast, of course, is at the end of the runway because they got to run down the runway and do their vault. And before that can even take place, the coach tells the judge what vault the gymnast is doing. And the reason for that is because the judge needs to know what she's looking out for, and needs to know what the vault is valued at. Because sometimes, depending upon the difficulty, the vault is rated at a higher score, meaning that not everything came out of a 10. So just because you were going to step up and do something didn't mean your routine was automatically scored from a 10. If your routine was too easy, and didn't have enough difficulty in it, it may only be scored from a 9.9 or a 9.8 or a 9.7. Most specifically with vaulting, okay? At this particular competition, I was doing a vault that was called a Sukahara. Now, for the time, it was a pretty big vault. It was a very difficult vault, and it was a vault that was taken out of 10 points, okay? Which is only to the advantage of the person doing that. Because if I'm doing a vault that's worth a 10, and one of my teammates or one of my competitors is doing an easier vault, which is only out of a 9.7, that means that even if I bend my leg or I make some errors, I still might outscore my competitor because my vault is worth more points. Is everybody with me? Okay, so I'm doing this vault, it's called a Sukahara. So I wish I had a video of it, because I'd show it to you. And unfortunately, back then, video wasn't big. So we're going to have to just go with my demonstration. All right, so here we are. I'm going to give you the side view so you can see.
Do one.
I don't think I'm the smart smarter now. I probably didn't have the brains I did then because I could probably kill myself. Anyway, so this is what you did. You run down the runway, you jump off the springboard, I did a half turn in midair, okay, so now I would be kind of floating through the air, my feet would be coming up this way, and I would be on the horse in a handstand, okay, so my hands would be on the horse, my feet would be up in the air. I would push off my hands, do 1.5 flips in a pike position, and land my vault, okay, that was the Sukahara in a pike position. So my coach tells the judge. So the judge now knows what vault I'm going to do. When the judge is ready, the judge acknowledges that she's ready by raising her hand, letting me know anytime I can go. All right, so I acknowledge her, I'm ready to go. I run down, I do my vault, I salute the judge, and then after that, because I get 2 chances, my coach was also watching the vault. So my coach walks back with me as I'm walking back to get ready for my second vault, and he gives feedback. He tells you what he just saw and tells you what you can do to improve your vault so you get a better score. Okay? Jeannine, push off your hands really, really hard, squeeze your feet, keep your legs straight, and point your toes and stick your landing. Okay, I can do that. Great, the judge salutes, I go, I salute, I do my vault, I land on my feet, I salute the judge, and I sit down and I walk back to the bench. And then the next thing, the judge is scoring the vault. The judges are scoring. Now, after they finish scoring, they post the score. Well, this is taking a really long time, and in gymnastics, this is never a good thing. Okay? If a judge doesn't score a vault fairly quickly, that means that there's a problem. Okay? So the next thing that you see is the judge that was sitting on the other side walks over to the other judge, and the judges are having a conference. Because basically, when they submitted their scores, they're too far apart. Okay? They either saw something different, they're having a discussion, they basically don't agree on what they just saw. So they have to come to terms with it so that they can issue a score. And this is taking a little while. Again, never a good sign. The next thing I see is the judge goes and sits down, and still no score is posted. Nothing is posted. The next thing I see is my coach walking down toward me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, well, what'd I get? And he looks at me and he goes like this. And I go, I got a 3? I got a 3? Like, how is that possible that I could possibly, how could I get a 3? And he looks at me and shakes his head, and he says, no. He says, you got a 0. I'm like, a 0? Now the 3 was looking pretty good. So I'm like, I got a 0? Like, how did I get a 0? Like, what did I do? Like, what do you mean I got a 0? I did something. Like, how do I get a 0 for that? He said, the judge said that you didn't get your hand placement all the way around, and therefore, that wasn't the right vault. You only got your hands halfway around, and that's another vault, so you didn't do the vault we said you were going to do.
That's okay.
So I was thinking, wow, so how do you think I responded to that?
Sorry.
What?
No, never mind.
What did you say?
You're going to start crying.
That's absolutely what I did. I handled it like a champ. You know, I completely knocked me out of the competition. Done. I was out of it. I mean, I could get a perfect score on every other event, and it would never happen. I would never be able to place in the all-around because now I got a 0. And I just didn't understand that. Okay, I absolutely didn't understand that. When I got my feedback from my supervisor, from my coach, I didn't get that feedback. In fact, I never got that feedback. Ever, ever, ever did anybody ever tell me that my hands were not in the right position. This was new information. This was new information. I can tell you this. Ultimately, at the end of the day,
The game plan changed.
I went back to the gym and all I did were drills. Okay? I put chalk on my hands and did all kinds of drills to make sure that my hand placement on the horse was like this. If my hands were out of whack at all, I continued to do it until I got it so that every single time it was going to be this way. And I actually didn't trust anybody. That's why I put chalk on my hands. Because you know what? At this point, I'm going to make sure. You know, the only way I can be sure for sure is to do something that I can see. Okay, because when you're running down and doing something, you're thinking about a lot of different things. And now at least I had my focus on something that I needed to keep my focus on. So it was my responsibility to do that. I would put chalk on my hands and make sure that my hand placement landed. So when I landed in a handstand, my hands were equal in alignment. And I never did get a 0 again. So here's another question. Do you think that it was a benefit to me?
Yes, because
Yeah,
you took,
Push you hard.
Okay, I got pushed harder, so what did that do for me?
Elevate your skills so you can.
Brought my performance, okay?
but you took responsibility of that. Ultimately, it was your fault. So to make sure that you didn't do it again, you put chalk on your hands to make sure you were doing it right.
Right, because I needed to make sure that I was going to do it. Now, I could have taken the attitude, well, you know, the judge was really being hard. And maybe the judge was having a bad day, or the judge isn't a fair judge, and I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah,
What
but
risk do I run then?
in order for you to do that twice in that same exercise, you'd have been practicing that also.
Could very well be. Could very well be, and maybe all the other judges overlooked it for all I know. Right?
That's ultimately a reflection of your coach.
Could be, right? What could I have done about the coach?
Fired him.
Here's the thing, the coach was part of the union.
Throw him into a ditch and bury him under the bus.
You're responsible.
I couldn't fire the coach. Couldn't fire the coach, he was part of the union, so what do? I got a coach that's not giving me good feedback, and I'm kind of stuck.
Suspend him.
Change the sport, right?
Take him out.
So these are all things that happen. Ultimately, my point is, at the end of the day, I got to take responsibility. I might not like all the feedback that I get, and sometimes it's worthy feedback. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, in a very local competition, no big deal. It did knock me out of that one. But better to knock me out and learn then than be at a state competition or a regional or national competition. Which would you rather have, a more difficult judge or an easy judge? You pick somebody that's going to be a little more challenging, because here's the truth. And they're definitely out there, and I just wonder, you know, there are people out there that are a little easier on us and let things slide because they like us. And here's the truth, I knew the judge, and the judge knew me. Okay, I knew the judge, and the judge knew me. So she could have given me a bye on that. Yet she gave me a really good lesson on that. So as we're working with people, you know, we owe it to people to help them be the best that they can be. At least if you want to be the best that you can be. Because the truth is, if you have somebody that's not giving you all the feedback that you need, or you're not providing all the feedback that they need, are we really helping them at all? We don't have to be, you know, so hard on somebody, you know, like 0. I mean, you know, it was what it was. I can't really go back. Yet at the same time, it never happened again, so help me be better. And when I prefer, for me, especially in sports or anything that you're going to be competing against other people with, if you have somebody that's going to help you toe the line and get better, you are going to outperform everybody else around you. There's no doubt about it. So the truth is, we can either, you know, make it easy for people and not help them, you know, because we don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, we don't want them to feel bad. Or we can give them good feedback and help them grow and not make them feel bad, make them feel good about wanting to do better. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's going to be up to all of you. Yet remember, when you put your coach hat on as a leader in the organization, your job is to help people be the very best that they can be. And to bring them up and raise their performance. So do the very best you can to do that. And you don't have to do it in a harmful way where people feel bad about things. We can have conversation with them and say, try this, do this, practice this. That's how you get better. When we set easier goals, we're just coddling to ourselves. When we set stretch goals and we're looking for targets that challenge us, not only we're going to rise to the occasion, we're going to do better. And we're going to experience better, because that's you. That's all about you. Your skill set, what you're learning, and how marketable you are. So when a promotion is available from time to time, you want to be the one that's the contender, not the one that has the same opportunity, yet, you know, your coach was a little easier on you, so you're not quite as good as the other guy. All up to you as an individual. So challenge yourself, okay? Give yourself that gift.